my kingdom. Had to buy some harmony. Now I'm flexing with my jewels. You could tell I got a lot on me. Grab another hero, feeling like I hit the lottery. Farming, getting API, stacking profits to the sky. 1x2.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Inner Grove. We've got Samichpunch as well as two guests. Bloater Punch is joining us and Brynly. So tonight we're just going to have a conversation. We've invited Brynly on and Bloater Punch to just go over some of the hot topics regarding some of the drama in the DFK community, get some questions, maybe just get some answers for everyone and see if we can help everyone ideally just move on and get some focus back on DFK, and then later we're going to transition into some Crystalvale stuff. So tonight, hopefully, we've got some Crystalvale Gen0s getting airdropped to players. That'll be super hype.
Big time.
Yeah, that'll be awesome. And then we're going to touch on a few other topics. I know there's Gen0 Reroll. That'll be happening later this week. It's really nice to see the DFK squad really ramping up, focusing back in on delivering some of these timelines. So before we kick it over to Bloater Punch and Brynly, I know Samichpunch wanted to give a little snippet real quick.
Yeah, I just gotta be like an attorney about things. So guys, I'm a knight in the Discord channel. I just gotta obviously disclaim, Baby Punch, Bloater Punch, Brynly's views are not the views of the DeFi Kingdoms team, and so don't blow things out of proportion and assume that they are. So we're gonna kick it off here, Bloater Punch and Brynly, and then I'll probably start to chime in once we start to talk about these gene rerolls, because I have a burning question for the streamers, or not the streamers, for the attendees.
Good stuff. Awesome. Well, Brynly, thanks for coming on. I guess the way I see this is, the DFK has taken some hits recently with just general market conditions, right? Market's been down. And then on top of that, there's been some pressure, outside of market pressure, outside of the macro side. And I think you have had a particular role, or at least visibility, point of view, whatever you want to call it, as it relates to that. So I think we need to be cognizant of the fact, though, that people like me, I'm super busy right now. I don't follow everything happening, but it feels like there's a smaller group of people that follow every single, they're on top of every single event, and they're following this chain of events. And there's a lot of, everyone's calling FUD. Everyone's pointing FUD. And then there's a lot of people just raging about the price. And, so there's a lot of different parties and interests involved. So I guess I just want to start off by saying, maybe just how do you see your involvement from a really high level? What has been your involvement just from a super high level in terms of any impact you have? I know you made a very controversial statement in Gen Chat. So how do you see yourself involved in that?
Yeah, so I like to think I have brought equality to the playing field here. If you go back and look at my main wallet ID, I've been a DFK fan and still am a fan since September 6th of last year. Original Gen0 mentor. I minted 6. Used to trade pre-tavern with a lot of the incredible DFK community, and we can talk on that separately. But have made so many friends throughout the past couple months, and that it leads us kind of up to this, right? I think history matters a little bit, where there's so many people that would vouch for what I say and vouch for what I try to do and how I try to help people. Plenty of examples I could bring up where we come now to this deal with mining Lockjewel. And as I said, yeah, go ahead.
How long has that been a problem? how long has that exploit of being able to take advantage of a system that was apparently just poorly written, how long has that been known or been exposed?
So it's technically been a problem since locked jewel mining came out. It became maybe a practical problem when locked jewel transfers became known, and that became more widespread at that point.
And when did you find out about the specific exploit? How did you find out about that?
So, like I said, I've made friends with a bunch of people from the beginning. Made a small group of, and what this is all about is finding trusted people that you can. This is a 24/7 market we're in, and you can't be here 24/7. You're going to go crazy. So find those people that you can rely on, that you can trade with. That are there for you, and one of the ideas bounced around in this group that I put together was, okay, you can move lock jewel around. That's interesting of how of how mining lock jewel then takes place. And we had that conversation right around January 20th, 21st, which is
Okay.
when I reported that, and my whole group reported that to DFK leadership, even going to say my group got the bug bounty for reporting that originally.
So you guys report it in January. You say to DFK, "Hey, you've got a problem with the way um, the mining contract is working," and then in the interim, you guys are, I assume, deciding to also take advantage of that um, mechanic, right? Like so you've acknowledged it exists, but you're also, is it fair to say you're also using or leveraging that mechanic?
No, it's not fair at all to say that. Absolutely not. I mean, I laugh. I think we're a bunch of Boy Scouts at the at the end of the day. Um, we
Boy
we had all
Scouts.
we we knew this was overall bad for the economy, overall bad for the player system because it created a economic disadvantage and an uneven playing field. And that was our whole point of reporting this quietly: is let's get this fixed so that we can all play the game we love without feeling like there's a need or like there's a situation of keeping up with the Joneses, let's say, at the high end level.
Okay. I guess I guess maybe taking a step just higher. So do you feel like you've done anything shady as it relates to mining, exploit mining? Have you done anything shady? Did you make any mistakes? And maybe would you have done things differently?
Yeah, it's a great question, and no, I don't think I would have done anything differently. You got to look at the timeline here. So stuff was reported January. We had the governance vote January 31st that passed with a super majority, and me, myself, and everyone in our group was super satisfied. We could move on with our lives. This wasn't a concern. So it didn't even cross my mind. It didn't even cross my mind that this was still a gap until very end of March, early April, when I started hearing that people were taking advantage of mining lock jewel, and that this thing was never fixed in the first place.
Oh, so you
And
assumed you reported it to the DFK team, they addressed it, and then you kind of like forgot about it. Is that fair?
100%, yeah.
Okay. And then you found out they didn't deal with it. And so is that a kind of situation where you're like, listen, I'm getting diluted. I've already done like I've done the right thing. I disclosed it. So by not taking advantage of this exploit, I'm just being diluted by people who are. Is that along that line?
Yeah, you're very close to it. And at some point, okay, so you're what, 2+ months later. Okay, so this has been possible for how long? And obviously, macroeconomic conditions are playing a huge part in price action. But you sit to yourself and you go, okay, this hasn't been fixed. Is this even seen as a gap anymore? Is this is how it is? And for me personally, I had to make the calculation of, okay, is me jumping on and participating in this. One, going to harm the wider community, which I would then answer no, absolutely not. The personal amount I've converted from locked to unlocked is minuscule in overall volume.
Okay.
Well, so I looked at it as almost a balanced approach of one, protecting my own bags, and two, at the same time, I'm spamming everyone I can spam of guys, we need to get this fixed, because one, I'm not DFK's policeman, and I don't have the energy or want to become policeman and try to go, okay, well, this is super pervasive, this is super widespread, everyone's doing it, everyone's not doing it. It's not my job. It's my job to participate in the economy. So while
Right.
and what overall makes me happy is an even playing field, because I know from a player standpoint, being a day one player, having an even playing field for our low level stacks plus our high level stacks makes a healthier economy overall.
Okay, so even someone as removed, I've got a lot going on in the background. I can't be as involved in the minutia. Baby Punch and Samichpunch are much more involved from like play to play. Even I heard about this like FUD bomb. So like you dropped something in Gen Chat. You know, why did you do it that way? Why didn't you continue to go through the moderator or private channels? And it seems like maybe people are salty because it seemed like opportune that you sold your assets before doing so, and then you pushed like this nuke bomb in Gen Chat. So do you want to address that?
Yeah, it's funny. There's a lot of layers to it. One, for forever, uh, probably through, I don't know, February or March, I probably had, well, not probably, I had about 100% of my family's investable assets in DFK. So just from a diversification standpoint, um, seeing the bear market in front of us, seeing World War III in Ukraine and whatnot, I knew I just needed to just diversify a little bit. So we've got to be able to separate economic conditions versus me reacting to a given exploit. And what's funny today, and what I made sure of trying to say in that post I sent was, I haven't sold everything in DFK. In fact, I have a ton of DFK exposure. I still have hundreds of heroes. I have tons of inventory. The only thing I sold was my gardens, and that was just a market reaction to thinking Jewel was not going to hold its place where it did, and I needed to get 100% of my family's invested assets just in a different place at that time.
So again, so let's like itemize a couple things. Number one, so did you address though why you sold, or excuse me, why you did it through Gen Chat? Number one, and then number two, if it's a jewel thing, I get, but why? What about the selling of Gen0s and maybe land as well? So do you
Sure,
still have
absolutely.
land?
I sold land as of 2 days ago, 3 days ago.
Okay.
But the bit about posting. So sure, absolutely. Why post in general? So I've said for months now, this is the worst kept secret in DeFi Kingdoms, and hearing all of this commotion back and forth, I thought it was important for people exactly like you, as you describe, where you keep bits and pieces of news, or you don't look that often. Everyone's going, "What's going on here?" And there's no real truth teller. So I wanted to come and just like I wanted to with the economic side, level the playing field. Now everyone knows exactly what was going on, and proper investigations, let's call it, could take place, and there's no shadow. I don't think there's any benefit to a shadow or sort of disinformation campaign going on. um, that's really it.
So you're saying you did the community a favor, right? Like you took a community favorable approach.
Yeah.
And again, for the record, do you hold any? You said you don't hold any land. Do you hold any Gen0s?
No, so I, from my time as day one, I minted 6, blah blah blah. I got up to 21 Gen0s. I whittled it down to about 10 to 12, and then I don't know, February or March, started reducing my position in Gen0s, completely unrelated to the mining exploit, but just saw that developments coming up weren't really hero related, and that I personally could do more with liquid cash than I could with Gen0 holdings.
All right. Well, I mean, is there anything else? I mean, you've answered my questions. I think it's sticky. I think it's messy. I think there's, again, definitely room for criticism on both sides. We could play devil's advocate on both sides. The one thing I'm, skeptical as like a human is I think people get really, people love to, criticizing super easy, but I think everyone would act in their own best interest in the given situation. And I'm not endorsing or saying you've done it right or wrong. I don't know all the facts. I'm just hearing your account and taking that at face value. But I am skeptical that all these people who say, if their position is, well, you did it wrong because dot, 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 this is the internet. People are getting like, this is crypto. People are getting scammed every day. So to act in one's own best interest, I mean, that's its own thing. But I did kind of want to wrap this segment now that we've kind of allowed for some cute questions we took from the community. You answered them. We can leave it at that. Do you have any last thoughts or ideas about this particular phase and how we can kind of hopefully put it in the rearview mirror?
Yeah, I do. I as crazy as the last week has been, I'm almost happy it's all happened in one swoop. Let's say there is craziness for whatever reasons. I'm happy this has now been fixed. The economy now has a level playing field from everything I know, and we can almost bucket all of that negativity into one bucket. And now, like we've seen from the team, there's a ton of new developments that are things to be excited about. And I think that gives everyone a fresh start into what we're looking for. And I think the important word is clarity. There's no what I've said is the truth of exactly how the exploit works, and to what extent it occurred, I don't exactly know, but I'm excited that the community has one path forward economy wise. You have full 100% faith in what you're putting your money into, that there's no one going behind your back, front running you or whatever you want to call it. So I think it's an exciting time now for DFK.
Awesome. Okay, do we want to transition into some information uh about the Crystalvale Gen0 reroll? Because this is some pretty hot stuff, and I'm gonna be honest, people were making fun of me because I don't know all the ins and outs, but I imagine some of you who work full-time jobs and can't be jewel maxis all day also don't know. So, Samichpunch, can you walk us through what the reroll is all about, what all the hype's all about?
Yeah. So, and I just wanted to like wrap up just one quick item on that. Like, Brynly, thanks for sharing your thoughts. Appreciate it. I think that there's, I don't think anybody I don't think all parties will ever agree on this. Like, I think there will always be people that said you did not handle this the right way, but I do think it was helpful for you to join us and to hear kind of your views on some of it. But let's get into gene re-rolling. So, because I'm really curious, I'm kind of in a predicament here with what I want to do with I have 3 Gen0s, 2 of them, one of them I'm definitely re-rolling, the other 2 I don't know. But so for people who I guess have had their head in the sand and don't know what's going on with this, the long story short is there are 2 new Crystalvale basic classes coming out, the Berserker and the Seer. If you recall how the Gen0s worked in Sarandale, you have 8 basic classes. So every Gen0 has the chance to roll 8 one of the 8 basic classes, and then their subclass will be one of the 8 basic classes. The recessive genes are also from that pool of 8 heroes. Well, what happens now that you have we're only, because the main class for these heroes will only be 2. It'll only be Berserker or Seer. So like you're not gonna have a chance to get a Pirate or a Wizard. Like it will be a Berserker or a Seer. So what happens though? Do you let their recessive genes and their subclass genes pull from just Berserkers and Seers, or do you have it pull from all 10 classes? And it's a messy situation because if it's just Berserkers and Seers, you're gonna have tons of DR1 aligned heroes, which I mean, it'll make those heroes OP. You're going to see tons of whatever the advanced class is. If you don't do that and you say, hey, okay, let's just pull those genes from all 10 basic classes, you know, the 8 from Sarandel and these 2 new ones, then that makes these 2 Berserker and Seer genes a lot more rare than the other 8 genes. And then that will just get worse and worse as generations and generations go on. So the way that they're solving for this is they're saying, all right, so when you get it, it is going to be a pool of the 10. So you will, anybody who won a Gen 0, it will be a Seer or Berserker, but their subclass will be one of 10 classes, and their recessive genes for main and subclass will be one of 10 genes. And then the way that they can balance that out is they're allowing people to re-roll their existing Sarandel Gen 0s, and by re-rolling them, it gives the chance for, it's going to open up a chance to re-roll for the 10 basic classes rather than just the 8. And one thing, I guess,
So
one thing
is that the explanation for the purpose of
that's
the reroll?
that's why they have to do the reroll. And then in terms of what can you reroll, they call it rerolling the game genes. So this would be like your subclass, essentially the genes that like really impact what people care about, right? So some people care about the visual stuff, and then you have the option to reroll visual genes, and they all have different benefits. I'll walk through them real fast. So option 1 would be do nothing. Option 2 is reroll your game genes. So that would be like reroll all of the recessives on my main class and reroll the subclass and all of its recessives. Rerolling the visual genes, I don't think that really needs explaining, but we have new visual genes because of the Crystalvale. So it's, if you want to reroll those 2. And then the third option is reroll everything, and you get kind of extra bonus for doing that. So I think I have a Gen 0 that is at, I think it's summoned. I don't know, what are yours at, Baby Punch? How many? I think we have been pretty religious about summoning since October, and I'm pretty sure we're up to like 50.
Let me check. Yeah, it's a high number.
Anyways,
So-
I mean, we've hit the cap. It costs 30 jewel every time we summon, and it's a 3-day cooldown. So if you do, for
70.
example, 70 Gs. Okay, so if you do reroll everything, when I say everything, it's not literally everything. It's the game genes and the visual genes. It'll reset it down to 0 summons. So if anybody remembers what it was like to mint, I think everybody here does, except for Bloater Punch. It costs, I want to say 6 jewel per hero to summon, and then it starts with a 4-hour cooldown. So you could summon for 12 jewel with 2 Gen 0s. You pay 12 jewel, you get a Gen 1 10 out of 10, and then you have a 4-hour cooldown. Summon again, 8-hour cooldown. It's like, I mean, you could popping out 3 Gen 1 10 out of 10s in one day. So
Okay, wait. So let me ask this. We're still in a no hero utility situation, and hero supply essentially only goes up post PJ, right? There's no burn mechanic yet. So to reset and essentially allow all these like printing presses to print even faster and inflate hero supply even more, is that dangerous? Is that problematic? I mean, I get we have Crystalvale, so it's kind of like open waters a little bit, but is that a concern? Do we feel like the inflation of heroes is a concern, or you're like, no, more supply is good supply?
I think so. One, hero supply is going to go up regardless of this,
Right. It's a slight accelerant, but yes.
Yeah, and I think they are in a real position of, okay, we've got this amazing pyramid of heroes, and then we've got the stepchildren over here of this tiny little pyramid, and we've got to be able to blend our pyramids together for a healthy game at some point. And the interesting thing, and maybe the question I put out to you three is, so this is all great. Where do we see this little mini pyramid of heroes going? I think an expansion once a year, once every 8 months, sure. But so now we've got 2 new heroes, we've got 1 new advanced class. How does that really blend? And do we see people maybe summoning with the 2 new heroes? And okay, a month from now, most people have the advanced class. How does that blend in with the wider pyramid? Because normally we get up to the point of having a 7% chance of having a dread, and I'm sure we all have our horror stories of trying to summon dreads. Exactly. So, what kind of like medium term kind of future do you guys see here?
I mean, I personally think there's no reason that a seer or a berserker should honestly be summoning with other Gen0s. Like, I feel like they're just going to be summoning with each other. So, um, I'm not really quite sure how it's all going to affect the 2 pyramids, because I could see it being pretty separate. Berserkers and seers continue to just breed with each other, and maybe recessive genes are mixed in with the rest of the population. But I'm not quite sure how to forecast how this is going to be in the future. But yeah, I'm not really sure.
So, I mean, the reality is that's going on. I think that the issue is immediately solved. It's not the summoning that solves the issue, it's the reroll. So the Crystalvale Gen0s, so the way the distribution for Serendel was, it's like 250 of each basic class. There will be 250 Seers and 250 Berserkers. I'm not sure if it's exactly that way, but it will roughly be that distribution. And if their subclass and their recessive genes are from all 10, and then a majority of the Serendel heroes reroll, which means they're going to start to get Berserker and Seer recessive genes. So you might start to see people with like R1 Berserker Seers that are Serendel Serendel Gen0s. The like pyramid issue of the 2 pyramids it's already fixed. So, and then it puts us in the same situation we are right now. Like, are you summoning like archers and pirates together? No, like nobody does that. So I think it'll be like archers and thieves will summon together, pirates and monks will summon together, seers and berserkers will summon together. But I don't think that's an issue.
Yeah, that's true.
So, again, super bullish on the project. Okay, love DFK. Why do I want to own heroes today? Like, so if you bought a hero instead, like at any point in this progression, instead of just holding Jewel or staking Jewel or holding it as X Jewel, like, I mean, I'm not trying to FUD. Again, I believe in I hold 30 heroes. Why do I want to hold a hero? Like, what does that do? If we always say like, oh, this is an investment. We have to look at this as an investment. And I get a dopamine rush when I summon. I get a dopamine rush when I collect more heroes because I grew up on Pokemon and Prissy Fox knows that. So why do I want someone to make a really compelling case for why I should care about heroes.
Yeah, let me touch on that real quick, because I think I'm a real life human example of big hero holder.
You are a hero. Oh, that's not what you were saying. Okay.
Right. So over time, I've ramped from 0 heroes to minting G0s all the way up to holding somewhere between like 450 heroes at a time. And I don't know where that puts me, somewhere in the whatever top 10-ish. So I can tell you, heroes over time of actually holding that many heroes has been sneaky profitable. Even, screw jewel mining, put that to the side. What's really interesting is I feel like this game almost has two sides to it. It's like a major economic wars type game, and there's a side where you have like one hero, and you're like, okay, I'm going to send my guy fishing. Like, what do I do? But once you get to the point where you have more heroes, like in the tens, hundreds, whatever it may be, you're suddenly faced with like all these decisions of like, what should I do with my resources, and all these resources that get generated. It's really interesting to play the unincentivized liquidity pools. Whether you should sell for gold now for the resources you get, whether you should hoard for upcoming developments. There's a ton of questions that come into play that get really interesting. I think that's really even the game before the game, I would say. And I can tell you from experience, I'm extremely happy of holding a ton of heroes because they have been profitable over time. And that being said, you can still sell them at the end of the day.
I mean, so I have to imagine you're using a bot, right? You can't quest with 450 heroes without a bot, correct?
So I was a major holdout. I think my fingers are knotted in in manually questing up until about February. I manually quested, and then I started with DFK Aaron. Yes.
Because I only have 30 and I am so quest fatigued,
Yep.
and this whole time I'm waiting for like content and I'm not getting it.
Yep.
But I don't know. I just can't, like, the idea, because my morning would consist of wake up, quest, hit quest about 2 p.m. again, hit quest at about 10 p.m., do it again. And I'm just like, someone in chat was just like, well, the APRs are actually pretty decent that's cool. But normal APRs don't require me to freaking click a bunch of things 3 times a day indefinitely. And if I'm away from my computer, I don't know. I'm so tired. I'm so tired of clicking DFK quests.
The one thing I'd add here is I'm a super big fan of the devs in this regard. That I think you're exactly right. You hit the nail on the head. That the game is not clicking start quest 4 times a day and our
Right.
fingers getting knotted. The game is what comes out of it. And I think for the devs' benefit, it's can we level the playing field between a bot versus a human? And I think 99% of the way the playing field is leveled. I think that one of the major changes that wasn't given enough credit was when a quest is complete, a hero can regain stamina. That means I don't need to be perfect. I can be
Right.
I can be a human, do it on my own time. My guys are still regenerating stamina so that when I come back to the computer, I can then start a quest again. So I'm really happy in that regard.
Awesome.
Yeah, I agree. I am officially, if anybody watched the streams like months ago, I was like lucky to hit like 2 quests a day, whereas most of the time you can hit 3. And I'm now hitting like full uptime on my gardens and locked mining. So training quests is another thing. That one's I'm still struggling to like make sure I hit all of those across the map. But I don't know, did you have anything else? Any thoughts on that, Baby Punch? Otherwise, I wanted to pose
I
a
just
question.
think we need to get some gameplay, and I'm glad, and it looks like the devs are refocusing in on getting us some more content in this game. And like, pets are nice, and they've come up with a lot of kind of filler stuff in the meantime. But I'm excited for PvP. Like I said, I even message Frisky about us. I just want something to play. I need something to have fun in this game, because yeah, questing is getting really exhausting, and I think all of us are in that exact same boat. Is we just want something to play. We want to start having fun in DFK. So I'm excited that they're now like doubling down on those efforts, and hopefully we'll start to see a lot more coming out here in the near future.
Yeah, I know we've got DFK Duel on the horizon, but also DFK Arena, which people might recall is that third party. They applied for the grant. There was a whole drama, blah blah blah. But I mean, they're still building. I've seen ads for their website on DFK Tracker, and so I don't know. I don't know what that'll look like exactly, but I mean, honestly, anything at this point, I'm super stoked for. Like anything
Well-
that's using the heroes, outside of like, yeah, the profession quests are grinding on me, man. It's hard to keep grinding those.
Well,
Yeah, and I hope. Oh yeah, go for it, Brynly.
I don't think you can understate the importance of the grant program and the community at large. I mean, look at what's been started organically from the ground up. I, I think there's such an amazing group of people here that from the way they've designed DeFi Kingdoms, you can take these hero NFTs and really your imagination is what limits you. And while you may not explicitly be able to alter stamina or XP without certain agreeances, like you can make your own little mini games and make gold at risk or anything at risk. And I encourage the community to continue to develop some of the great things that they've developed.
So Brynly, I mean, I'm curious your thoughts on this. So I've been saying since when did we start the podcast? When did we start doing this?
November,
This
maybe?
December.
Okay. So
early
I've been on
December.
the we need gameplay train, and people in chat are pooping on me, and Samich is like defending, DFK with his like body, and Baby Punch is defending DFK, and I'm like, we need gameplay, and slowly more people are like, yeah, we do need gameplay. So here's the question I have for you, Brynly: when is too long for gameplay? When is like the max? Because at some point it can't sustain without gameplay, right? We're going to get to a point, and I think we're already like, I need gameplay already. I talked about my quest fatigue. So when, in your opinion, is like, yeah, they really need to hit by, roughly this time period, this quarter, this time of year?
Yeah, I mean, the answer is multi-layered, and the answer is okay. A lot of resources were put towards Crystalvale. We understand that. We get that. And
Not according to Samichpunch, Baby Punch, or chat, who at the time were like, you can do two things at once, Bloater Punch. You can program the game and do Crystalvale. And I was like, are you sure? And they were like, yep, we're sure. You can do both. They're doing both. Anyway, sorry, keep going, Brynly.
well, so just a quick point there is it takes us back to the beauty of this game and project is that it's organic. You had a small group of friends or developer friends that suddenly turned into this worldwide phenomenon. So you're talking about needing to be able to grow a small development group into a multi-billion-dollar kind of corporation, and there's growing pains that go along with it. And I think all of us understand that, and especially with the deal that got made with Avalanche, the work that needed to go into making the expansion work. And I think we all need to recognize the stuff that comes out. DFK has one chance to get right. If this stuff is wrong, it's gonna get blown in their faces, and everyone's going elsewhere. And I give such a testament to the team because whatever they've put out is freaking quality. I mean, I think we're all
Besides their
happy
mining
with what
contract,
comes
right?
out. Yeah, okay. There's a little gap there. That's now been fixed. But in terms of what needs to happen, I think they're on the ball because we see it on the precipice here. We've got summoning coming out in the blockchain. We've got these duels coming out. To answer your question directly, it needs to come it needs to come soon. And I think there needs to be a
That's not
steady.
an answer.
It needs to come.
Soon?
Now that we're post blockchain expansion, there needs to be a steady deployment of features, and that's what we expect as a group. And I think that's what we've been getting so far.
Okay, so it's December. Too soon? Like, what if it's
Well,
not? What
December
if we're
for
in
what?
I'm saying, so if we're in December and there's no DFK gameplay, is that too long? Or are you like, nope, be patient, Bloater. You're being too impatient.
No, absolutely, that's too long, and I don't know what you define as gameplay, but yeah, that's way too long.
I think we need gameplay, and again, I agree with Brynly on that it's hard to define what that is. Like if you're saying like full blown combat, or if it's like, pet utility and land utility and maybe DFK duel. But I think we need something substantive by the time that the unlock period starts. Like, I'm not gonna say like that's the cliff, because it isn't a cliff. But it will, we will start to see inflation. And I think having something out before that is going to be vital
to offset some of the negative price pressure, right?
Just I mean, if everything remains constant, right? Buy pressure, sell pressure remains constant as it is today, then yes, like if the only variable changing is increased supply, yeah, like price has to go down.
My biggest thing, and I think for me, what I see as the golden carrot here is create a system that's community driven. You have this amazing community in front of you. You have these amazing NFT hero cards in front of you. People want to use them. So let's have a realistic kind of strategic way where my group can fight against your group, and I can either take your resources or I get access to quests you don't get. And if that's player driven, the value is going to take care of itself. And I think that's really what we want to shoot towards.
I 100% agree with that. Guys, I wanted to ask you guys, I also wanted to ask the stream. So I'm going to share my screen here. This is my 2 Gen0s. So this is one of them, Dominant Archer, Recessive 1 Archer. The other one is Dominant Thief, Recessive Thief with Mining. The Archer's got like a bunch of gardening. I swear it's like every single one of these is a gardener, but here are my odds, okay? When I summon with these two, 243 and 535, my odds of a Dark Knight are 22%. It's pretty good.
Big time.
I mean, this thing has been awesome. Like I've gotten a lot of Dark Knights from it. So you're me, you have these two. Are you re-rolling for these benefits? If I re-rolled, I would re-roll everything. Reset to 0 summons, 12,000 experience. 12,000 experience, I believe, will push you from level 8 to 9, a whole level. Don't quote me on that. You're going to get bonus stats based on the subclass and some stones that don't exist. A greater enhancement stone and greater attunement crystals, these do not exist yet. So, I don't know. What are you guys doing? What would you do?
I personally think, take the visual reroll gene. That's an absolute freebie. Who cares about the look of the card?
Yeah. That's a given.
That is a given. That's free. R1, D1, I don't think you reroll that. I don't think I would. I mean, you're going to get benefit in several additional summons just with the reset. But honestly, you can go back to 8 summons and have none of that changed and, capture, what is that? Like 60% of the benefit minus some of the crystals and whatnot. So I personally think reroll the visual genes. I wouldn't reroll the DR1
visual's a given.
trades.
Yeah, visual's a given.
That's freebie.
Yeah, you're 100% right. And it's kind of not even a question value wise. If you have that matchup, you have to keep it. The question is, other cards are gonna catch up to you now that they're re-rolling. You're gonna get more re-rolls that are D1 R1 matches, so you might not be as unique as you think you are after this. So there's value plays and maybe trading and whatnot, but that's probably the way to think about it.
Yeah, I don't know. Bloater Punch, what do you think?
Let me tell you why you guys are totally wrong. Just kidding. No, I agree. I'm with you guys.
So I mean, the one thing that's like, okay, so if you don't have DR1, it's like a 15% chance. So
7%.
it's a 7% of, so it was 15, and then you increase it by 7. I mean, that's like a 50% increase off of your chance, but it is still at the end of the day a 7% increase. I didn't win any Crystalvale Gen0s. Not sure I would.
Okay, but I want to
expend the capital to get one.
Key factor. You're a D-Gen, bro. You gotta throw the D-Gen life, right?
What are you saying? Are you saying I should just go buy? Yeah.
What if you get D1 R1 and you re-roll? Boom! Triple benefit. You're a D-Gen,
Dude,
bro.
the odds of that are so slim.
By the way, I'm curious.
What if I get DR1 R2 R3?
There you go.
There you go.
And,
Brynly,
and a free level up and a reset to 0 summons and new items that don't exist.
Brynly, did you YOLO on PJ and did you win any of the Gen0s?
So God, it was crazy. Like looking at the PJ rewards, it quickly became apparent that it was widely in your benefit to send your heroes.
Agreed.
If you had a big enough hero stack to kind of diversify out some of the risk. If you were, the 3 to 4 guys, yeah, you could lose everything, and I probably wouldn't have sent mine if I was that. But I had a bunch. I decided to send all my VIPs and keep all of my floor questers, just because they looked like they were destined for the graveyard. And it worked out pretty well. I think a lot of the big senders were happy about the outcome.
So did you win anything on the raffle?
No, I didn't win a damn thing, actually.
Really?
I won 100 jewel and I won 100 crystal. So yeah.
Okay, because
Yeah,
Twitter people were about to erupt because you didn't disclose you won the 100 jewel and 100 twist. So I'm really glad we got ahead of that controversy.
That's pretty fun.
Dude, so we have a buddy who won the survivor and the casualty, and I had the same amount of him on the casualty one, and then on the survivor one, I had more tickets than him. I didn't win anything. That felt kind of bad. But going back to this reroll, guys, doesn't it feel like anytime there's been a choice to like participate in something, it's always paid out well, right?
This
So,
one has
like,
explicit rewards, though. I don't think that's the case here. PJ had a huge speculation variable
Yeah,
in the
but like, can't
price
you
of
see
crystal.
Dunsparrow being like, "I'll pay you $3,000 for your greater enhancement stuff." Dunsparrow, I just created a verbal offer. You're bound by it.
So what's I show me the person who bought this, the greater atonement crystals.
Yeah, those were like selling
great-
for like $800, weren't they?
Greater atonement stones, whatever it is, that gives you like a couple of stats and then a couple.
A bunch of 8, yeah, or
so
are those
I sold 2 of the multiple, one for $2,000 and one for $3,000.
Whoa.
A stone. I'm not even making that up. Who's buying that? I mean, I get these. Some of these are valuable, especially before the PJ stuff came out. But the people they're selling.
That's what I'm saying, guys. These right here, whale candy. All right,
Yeah,
Bro,
They
you
really
are
are.
whale
a whale.
candy. There will only be 2,000 greater enhancement stones. Just saying.
Dude, this is like a Gen 0 mint. They're going to surpass the value of Gen 0s.
All right. Well, I think you guys are all saying keep it. I think I'm gonna keep the DR1, but man, it feels kind of bad because
That's not
these are
even
some
a
cool
debate.
rewards.
There's
Fair.
no way that's a debate.
Yeah. But like, I mean, some people just get unlucky every time anyway. So this is like guaranteed return versus DGen.
I wish they could have given us a chance to re-roll our profession. I freaking want to get rid of
I
my
think everybody would reroll
Archer
that.
Gardener.
But honestly, I hope that profession gene just plays less of an impact in the next 5 months or
Yeah.
so.
And part of it, I mean, if you start re-rolling everything, you've destroyed the value of what you think you bought, and then
Yeah.
in the future, oh well, they're going to change this again. So they've got to keep some consistency of what a G0 represents.
Yep, 100% agree.
I'm a really big fan of the reroll and not letting other gens reroll. People who've come to the game after the initial mint, because you just got to incentivize Gen 0 holders, right? Like there's just not enough value in the Gen 0 alone. And so this is the kind of mechanic that makes me feel, as a non-Gen 0 holder, it gets me really hype because I'm so happy for all the Gen 0 holders who get more incentives on top of being a money printing press. They get to do cool stuff like this. So just really well done. Overall, really happy for everything. Like,
welcome to the Bloodverse, people.
Tell me right now, Gen 0s right now do not make me any money.
Okay, that's not
maybe
true,
it's
because
my
I'm
luck.
in Gen chat with Samichpunch, and he's like, guys, I just minted. I just made $1 bajillion today.
Okay, wow,
If you get some good luck, but honestly, my luck's been crap, and it has been a money pit. Like right now, the price of Gen 1,
is it a loss?
10 out of
Is it
10s.
a slam dunk loss? You're saying you were losing money on every summon.
If you rent, it's like 75% of the time it's a loss.
Yeah.
And what about if you use 2?
So if you use 2, which the cheapest it can possibly be is 60 at this point. Like this guy, this is the floor Gen 1, 10 out of 10, 65.
5 jewel printing press.
You're
That's your
touching on a very
lowest?
good point. Like I guarantee a lot of people with that exact same viewpoint, and I'm sure you're playing a point here, but being a Gen0 holder is not this like golden goose, like I'm rich, I'm gonna go retire now. Like the whole DFK economic engine relies on Gen0s being valuable, and in that on that note, Gen0 holders wanting to summon more heroes, because that affects downstream economy, it affects the item economy, and I guarantee what's been said here is absolutely true, that there's plenty of Gen0s that you don't make as much money, if at all, that you think you do. And I think anything in the game that
Today,
benefits Gen0 holders
that's
is a
true.
huge plus.
So Sandwich, Baby Punch, do you guys remember how long was it like essentially a printing press? When did it start becoming like when was there economic friction on summons? Because it had to be at least for 4 or 5 months, right?
Yeah, first couple
Yeah.
months were definite, not
It
4
was
or
just
5
like-
months. I would say probably 3, maybe 4 months. It was
For the
really
new year.
profitable. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really rough. I get it, Brynly. That sounds like a burden. So, I
Well, the
get
point
it.
is now, so okay, so answer the like, so why don't you hold a Gen0?
Because exactly, well, the price to entry is massive, and to your point, now there are less economic incentives for those who did get in and reaped the rewards early, though, on those, the golden days. Seems like that, certainly a printing press. Now, yeah, now the price is super speculative. Now you could lose a ton of money. I have friends who bought in at 30K and they're down huge money on a Gen0 purchase.
And part of the value prop of DFK is it all relies on these Gen0s, and you're exactly right. So your hesitation of buying a Gen0, I think, speaks to why there should be economic incentives to Gen0 holders.
Checkmate.
Boom. Mic drop.
While you guys were just debating that, I was doing some like back of the napkin math. I'll share it super fast. I was trying to see like, okay, if I reset my Gen0s, I'm still noodling on this.
I'm still doing this.
What's the monetary value of resetting my summons? So I did like a quick and dirty up to the cap. Assuming I sell at floor. Wow. Assuming I sell at floor, then I'm thinking like 377 jewel. Not that appealing, to be honest. But I did look. Let's see. Let's say of those, how many is this? 13. I should get 1, maybe 2 Dark Knights, and those would be 175. So we'll put 2 Dark Knights in. 600 jewel. Probably not worth it to sacrifice DR1.
Jewel's $22.
You could sell your DR1s right now for a 600 jewel profit. Like more than the floor.
Let's see. Let's see if there's any DR1s.
We are on the hour, so we should probably think
Oh,
about
yeah.
wrapping here.
All right, let's.
But
I
let's
just wanna
check. I mean, I'm
cost.
curious. I want to see this as well.
A DR1 for sale. There are none. Let's check.
Boom.
Okay.
Case
Bullish.
closed.
Okay. 11,000 jewel. Oh, wait. I think I messed that
Dude,
up.
this thing is garbage.
What? I use this website all the time.
No, I meant you were like, D1R1, not that big of a deal. Oh, 11K jewel. Okay. I see you.
Okay. Now let's wrap it up. Thanks everybody for joining us. Thanks for talking me off of the ledge of re-rolling my Gen0s.
And Brynly, thank you for changing my view. Now I realize that owning a Gen0 is more of a duty to the community than it is an incentive. And we should continue to incentivize.
Sandwich, can you just mute Bloater for the remainder of this closeout?
I think you not going out and hunting them speaks for itself.
It's true.
All right, guys.
Thanks,
Thanks everyone
everybody.
for joining us. Have a good night.
Thanks for having me,
Brynly,
guys.
appreciate you joining, man. I know
Thanks,
there's a lot of
Brynly.
controversy on all of this, but appreciate you coming on and just shedding a little bit of light about the beginning of it all. So, Inner Grove, have a good night.
Absolutely.
Good night,